The WNBA just tore itself in half over one flagrant foul, and the fallout has exposed a double standard the league has been hiding for years. DiJonai Carrington was ejected for a flagrant 2 foul on Sophie Cunningham, and instead of walking off quietly, she posted 2 words that set the entire sports world on fire. White privilege. Those 2 words have done more damage to the WNBA's carefully controlled image than any missed free throw or blown playoff game ever could. Carrington did not apologize, she did not back down. And that refusal is the real story the mainstream media is terrified to cover.
Yo, if you love real basketball stories, deep dives, and the drama behind the game, you're in the right place. But if you want to take it to the next level, hit that join button. Members get exclusive content, early access, and behind-the-scenes drops you won't see anywhere else. Plus, you're directly supporting the channel and helping us bring you even better content. So if you rock with Basketball Spilled, become a member today. Let's keep the game alive.
Let's start with the exact moment the WNBA lost its mind. The game was already a pressure cooker with Chicago and Indiana fighting for pride, playoff positioning, and respect. DiJonai Carrington was locked in on defense, while Sophie Cunningham moved through a screen like she always does, selling every bit of contact. Then Carrington's arm came across Cunningham's head and neck area, the whistle blew, the crowd erupted, and Cunningham hit the floor and stayed there. That contact was real, and nobody can deny that Carrington caught her high. The officials huddled together like they were deciding the fate of the entire league, and honestly they were. A common foul would have kept the game moving. A flagrant one would have cooled things down, but the referees went nuclear. They upgraded it to a flagrant 2, ejected DiJonai Carrington on the spot, and that single decision turned a basketball play into a cultural explosion. Carrington stood there for a moment and stared down at Cunningham on the floor. She did not rush over, she did not offer a hand, and she did not act like a player who believed she had done something unforgivable. The look on her face was not remorse, it was pure defiance, the expression of a player who had seen this exact movie before and knew precisely why the whistle was being blown so hard. Then came the walk-off. Carrington did not sprint to the locker room. She walked slowly with her head up and her eyes fixed straight ahead. She did not look at the referees. She did not look at the Indiana bench, and she moved like a woman who had already made up her mind. The Chicago bench tried to keep its composure while the Indiana bench celebrated like they had just won a championship, and that contrast was everything. One side saw an ejection, the other side saw validation. But what happened next changes everything. Carrington got to the locker room and did not stay silent, did not issue some weak PR apology, and did not hide behind her agent. She grabbed her phone and posted 2 words that broke the internet wide open. White privilege. That was it. No context, no follow-up, no apology, just 2 words that immediately turned a flagrant foul into the biggest culture war the WNBA has ever seen. The league's social media team probably fainted on the spot. The immediate reaction was chaos, and fans picked sides before Carrington even left the building. Indiana fans called her dirty, Chicago fans called the ejection soft, and national media talking heads started screaming about race, physicality, and respect. The league office went silent, and that silence was loud. It told everyone that the WNBA had no idea how to control this monster. Carrington had lit a match, and the entire league was covered in gasoline. Now let's talk about the physical play itself. The WNBA has always been physical. That is not up for debate, because players throw elbows, set hard screens, and fight through contact every single night. A shot to the head is serious, and a shot to the neck is serious, but the ejection standard has never been consistent. That is the core of this entire meltdown. One hard foul gets a flagrant 2, another hard foul gets a common foul, and the difference is not always the force. The difference is often the player on the floor and the reaction that follows. Carrington is built like a defender. She plays with edge, she plays with attitude, and she does not smile after fouls or apologize mid-game. That makes her an easy target for officials who want to control a game. Cunningham is built like a shooter. She knows how to create contact. She knows how to make contact look worse than it is. And she knows how to stay on the floor long enough to make the referees feel pressure. That combination created the perfect storm. Carrington's reputation for physical defense collided with Cunningham's reputation for selling contact. And the referees chose the narrative they wanted to believe. Let's be blunt about this. Sophie Cunningham has built a career on being the league's most protected floor spacer. Because she flops, she flails, she snaps her head back, and she grabs her face before looking at the referees like she was just attacked. That is not illegal, that is gamesmanship. But when she does it, the whistle follows. When a bigger, more physical defender breathes on her, the whistle follows. When she falls to the floor and stays there, the refs reach for the ejection button. That is the double standard, that is the privilege. Carrington saw it, Carrington named it, and the league cannot handle that truth. This is not about saying Sophie Cunningham deserved to be hit, because that is not the argument. The argument is that the same contact from a different player on a different night does not get the same punishment. The league has allowed elbows to the face to go unpunished, and the league has allowed hard fouls at the rim to be called common. But the moment Carrington caught Cunningham high, the officials turned into judge, jury, and executioner. That is the exact system Carrington was calling out when she posted those two words. She was not making an excuse, she was making a statement. Then the fake outrage machine went into overdrive. People tried to twist Carrington's words into something she never said, claiming she was attacking Cunningham personally, making the game political, and pulling the race card to escape accountability. That is the most dishonest framing possible. Carrington went to Stanford to study this exact subject. She did not stumble into that phrase by accident, and she posted it because she understood the power dynamics at play. She was not using it as a rhetorical weapon. She was naming the system that just ejected her while Cunningham stayed on the floor, selling the aftermath. Carrington later clarified her position by saying she went to Stanford to study this exact subject and was not using it as a rhetorical weapon. That explanation was calm, that explanation was educated, and that explanation was exactly what the league did not want to hear. The league wanted an apology. The league wanted her to say the foul was dirty and she lost her head, but Carrington refused. She refused to play the role of the aggressor who must beg for forgiveness. And that refusal is why she is the hero of the story. Now let's destroy the villain's version of events. Sophie Cunningham stayed on the floor like the moment demanded a coroner, holding her head and rolling over slowly. She let the trainers rush out. She let the crowd boo. And she let the referees huddle under maximum emotional pressure. That is not toughness, that is theater. The contact was real, but the performance after the contact is what pushed the officials to a flagrant 2. Cunningham knew exactly what she was doing. She knew the cameras were on her. She knew the home crowd would demand blood, and she knew the officials would fold. And they did. Cunningham's coach Stephanie White called the foul egregious but unintended. Read that again. Egregious but unintended. That is the entire case in one sentence. If the foul was unintended, why did Carrington get ejected like she committed an assault on the court? If the foul was unintended, why did the referees act like she deliberately tried to end a career? Because the reaction mattered more than the intent, because Cunningham's theater mattered more than the actual basketball play, and because the league has trained its officials to protect shooters like Cunningham and punish defenders like Carrington. That is not justice, that is bias. The worst part is what this does to the league's credibility. The WNBA has spent years trying to prove that its physicality is a feature, not a bug, marketing its stars as tough and its rivalries as real. But the moment a physical defender catches a shooter high, the league panics, overcorrects, and ejects. It turns a basketball game into a morality play. Carrington's ejection did not protect Cunningham, it exposed the league's soft underbelly. It showed that certain players get the benefit of the doubt and certain players never do. Let's look at the history. Carrington has been hit hard plenty of times, grabbed, shoved, and knocked to the floor. Did those plays get flagrant 2 reviews? Did those players get ejected? No. The whistle stayed silent, the game moved on, and Carrington got up and kept playing. That is the difference. She does not stay on the floor, she does not sell contact, and she does not beg the officials for protection. And because she refuses to play that game, she becomes the target. She becomes the one the refs watch more closely, the one who gets ejected while the flopper on the other side gets the spotlight. This is where the culture war really explodes. The fans are not just arguing about a flagrant foul, they are arguing about who deserves protection in American sports. They are arguing about who gets labeled dirty and who gets labeled tough, and they are arguing about whether the same standard applies to everyone. Carrington's 2-word post opened that door, not to avoid blame, but because the door was already there. The league and its media partners just wanted it locked forever. Now the lock is broken, and the truth is spilling out everywhere. The mainstream media will not tell you this. They will show the replay 10 times, they will debate the flagrant foul call, and they will bring on retired players to say the league needs to protect shooters. They will never say the quiet part out loud. The quiet part is that Carrington has been one of the league's most disrespected stars, and the quiet part is that Cunningham has been one of the league's most coddled role players. The quiet part is that the officials reacted to the player on the floor, not the force of the contact. That is the scandal, that is the betrayal, and that is the real double standard. Carrington's refusal to apologize is not arrogance, it is self-respect. She knows what she did, she knows the foul was hard, and she also knows that the league has allowed worse without an ejection. She knows that the same hit from a different player would have been a common foul and a free throw, and she knows that Cunningham's reaction is what changed the call. So she refused to perform guilt, she refused to pretend the system is fair, and she stood on her Stanford education, her lived experience, and the truth. That makes her the most dangerous player in the WNBA right now, not because she is dirty, but because she is right. Now let's talk about what this means for the league going forward. The WNBA cannot just forget this. The next time Carrington steps on the floor, every referee will be watching her, every opposing player will try to bait her, and every fan will be waiting for another flagrant foul. But the bigger problem is the standard itself. The league now has to answer a simple question. Will it enforce flagrant fouls based on the force of the contact, or will it enforce them based on the reaction and the player involved? If it chooses the latter, Carrington's post will become a prophecy, and the league will prove her point every single night. Indiana will try to play the victim. They will talk about player safety and protecting shooters, but that is a smokescreen. The real issue is that Cunningham has mastered the dark art of making contact look catastrophic. She has built a reputation for drawing fouls, and the officials reward her for it. That is not toughness, that is manipulation. The league should be embarrassed that a hard foul turned into a national race war because one player stayed on the ground too long, and another player refused to bow her head. This is not player safety, this is player theater, and the WNBA just gave theater the power to decide games. Carrington's legacy is now untouchable. She stood up to a system that wants her to sit down and shut up. She got ejected, she got smeared, she got called every name in the book, and she still did not apologize. That is the kind of backbone the WNBA claims to celebrate, but actually punishes. She is not the villain in this story. She is the whistleblower, the one who looked at the double standard and named it out loud. That takes more courage than any flagrant foul ever could. Sophie Cunningham's reputation is now permanently stained, not because she is a bad person off the court, but because of basketball character. Her on-court act has been exposed. The slow rise from the floor, the dramatic head-holding, and the way she turns every hard foul into a crime scene. That is not basketball, that is acting, and the worst part is that it works. The refs buy it, the media buys it, the league buys it, but the fans are not blind. Carrington's post ripped the mask off, and now every time Cunningham hits the floor, the entire arena will wonder if she is really hurt or just auditioning for an Oscar. The league office is panicking behind closed doors. They know this story will not die. They know the next Chicago-Indiana game will be the highest-rated regular season game in years, and they know every hard foul from now on will be viewed through this lens. They could fix it by announcing a clear, consistent flagrant foul standard, training officials to ignore flopping, and grading contact based on force and intent. But they will not do it. They will hide, issue a vague statement about player safety, and hope the news cycle moves on. Carrington already made sure it will not. The genie is out of the bottle. This is bigger than one game, and bigger than one ejection. This is about who gets the benefit of the doubt in the WNBA, who gets to be the hero, and who gets forced into the villain role. It is about who gets protected and who gets punished. Carrington has spent her entire career fighting through contact and never getting the whistle. Cunningham has spent her career falling to the floor and getting every call. That is not a level playing field. That is a rigged system, and Carrington exposed it with 2 words. The final buzzer on this story has not sounded, and it may never sound. The WNBA just learned that its fans are not stupid. They see the double standard, they see the different treatment, and they see the outrage machine working overtime to protect one player and bury another. Carrington did not lose anything on that night. She gained everything. She became the face of a movement. She became the player who refused to apologize for telling the truth. And in a league that constantly tells women to be quiet and grateful, That is the ultimate act of rebellion. So here is the final judgment. DiJonai Carrington has sealed her legacy as a fearless truth-teller, and Sophie Cunningham has sealed her fate as the league's most protected flopper. The Chicago locker room has been fractured by the fallout. The Indiana locker room has been exposed for hiding behind a culture war instead of playing basketball, and the referees have been exposed for making a decision based on theater instead of tape. The WNBA has been exposed for allowing a racialized framing of physical play to overshadow the actual game. This was not just an ejection, this was a league-wide meltdown, and it is not over. It is only the beginning.